In the last video, we briefly discussed theory and practical side of Power BI. And this was the first report which we prepared after establishing connection with the Excel file, which had some sales data. So what we did, we imported the data in Power Query. We did some cleansing of data, like we removed some irrelevant columns based on our requirements. We changed data types. Some types were text, some types were fixed decimal numbers. So before moving on to the next topic, let me tell you some of the functions available on the main screen of Power BI, which we couldn't discuss before due to shortage of time. So first icon is report icon. This icon of report shows us the main reporting screen of Power BI. So this is the main reporting screen of Power BI, which is in front of us. Second one is data. So this one is showing us the real data. This is the same data which we had seen in Power Query. This is the refined form of data. We can also filter some data. If we don't want any of the item, we can uncheck. If we don't want any product, for instance, we can uncheck here. So based on our requirements, based on the visuals we want, we can filter the data here. The last icon is model. So this will be used for data modeling and creating relationships. All the columns are shown here: country, date, gross sales, net sales, product, profit, and segment. So if you go back to data, then to report. So this is the main screen of Power BI report. We can minimize the visuals from here. We can minimize the fields from here so that we can have the full screen. We can have the full page. Okay. So if we look into other options, this is the area of data, get data. We can directly pull the data to establish connection, or we can give the file path. So we can select the file from here, open, then it will pull the data. Power BI datasets, SQL Server, we will discuss later on. Enter data. So if we want to enter some data manually, we can use this option. But we should remember one thing, that we should try to establish connections, and we should never enter manual data because connecting is better. Cancel. This one is recent sources. So if there are recent files, we can pull from here. Transform data. If we want to go back to the Power Query screen, then we can click on transform data. So this is the Power Query screen, Power Query interface. Okay. If we go back to Power BI screen, again, Power BI report interface, this is there. So queries we have done, transform data. If you want to go back into Power Query, refresh, we will use refresh if we have to do some changes, if you have done some changes in the source data, and if you want to refresh the reports. So by clicking refresh, we can have the updated visuals. This insert, we can use new visuals, text box, more visuals if while doing, while preparing dashboards. So we can, insert any visual, we can insert text box. Calculations. So this new measure and quick measure, we will use these options while doing data modeling. So at this stage, we will not use new measures and quick measures. Publish. So we can publish our reports, dashboards. As I discussed in the last video, that we cannot publish our reports unless we log in from our official email address. So this option will not be used now. So these were some of the basic functions of the options shown on the main screen of Power BI. Now we will go back to Power Query, transform data. In Power Query screen, we have home, transform, add column, view. View is the most important option. In view, we have two main, we can say, functions: column quality and column distribution. Column quality, if we click on column quality, then it shows us the validity of data, how much data is valid. or we can say to what extent data is valid. So in this column, data is 100% valid. There is no error, 0%. There is no empty cell. Similarly, in this column as well, data is 100% valid, product 100% valid. So all the columns have valid data. You can see from here. For column distribution is showing us the data type. We can say that, in this column segment, we have 5 types of data: channel partners, enterprise, government, mid-market, small business. So it means we have 5 distinct items, data items. In country also 5 distinct items means 5 countries are there: Canada, France, Germany, Mexico, USA. So column distribution and column quality are the most important options. Applied steps. We briefly discussed applied steps last time, but I will discuss again now. As I said before in the last video, that Power BI applied steps is similar to redo option in Excel. So through this applied steps, we can go back to any previous step and make required changes. For example, if we want to insert any step, we can go back. For example, if we want to, before removing columns, we want to add any new column, or like we want to do some changes in the data, we can do here. If I click on navigation, then you can see that this was the second step. After source data, after pulling the data, after pulling the source file, we clicked on navigation. It means all the columns are there. This is the original data. If you remember, we removed discount band, units sold, manufacturing price, sales price. So it's showing us the original data. If I click on the last step, it will show us the refined data, clean data, because in our visuals, we don't want manufacturing price, sales price, discounts. So this is a refined, clean data, we can say. Segment, country, product, gross sales, net sales, profit is there. All right. So these are some of the options. If we go back to home, there are also some options available. Like if I click on this segment, we can like remove any column. We can create duplicate column. Like if I click on duplicate column, segments copy will be created. So I don't want this, I will remove this. Similarly, if I want to split, I can split the column. I can replace values. So let's go back to the Power BI screen, reporting screen. So this is the main screen. So if I again want to see the visuals, we can see that this is the updated Power BI screen, Power BI report. So if we want to do some changes in the source data, we can also do. Again, we will go to Power Query. So there are 3 years data available. Like if we see from here, load more, 2015, 16, and 17 data is here. So if I want to do some changes in the source data, I will go back to the source file. Let me show you the source file. Minimize. This is the source file in this folder, 3 years sales data. So this is the file which we have already imported in Power Query. As I have shown you before, there are 3 years data there, 15, 16, 17. So if I want to do some changes in the source data, for example, there is 15 data available, and I remove, for example, 16 and 17 data. Since the connection is established, I will remove 17 data only. So I will delete from here, I will delete 17 data. Okay, so we have now 16 and 15 data. Save, close. And if I go back to Power Query, and if I click on refresh, See, 17 data is gone. So there is only 2 years data available, 15 and 16. So this is how we did some changes in the source data, and it was reflected in the Power BI reporting interface as well. So this was my second video, and if you watch this video in continuation of my previous video in which I gave introduction and discussed basic connectivity of Power BI, then it would be more useful for you. In the next video, I would like to discuss consolidation and merging of files within Power BI. Thank you.